Please bet on football games.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Please Bet on Football Games podcast. I am your host, Alex, here with the on-air talent, Joe. Joe, how's it going today?
It's going pretty well. I picked exactly the right week to be in the mountains of Lake Tahoe rather than on Twitter because my mentions are Elmo Fire meme.
Yeah, they're pretty rough.
Dude,
I've taken a glance.
60-yard screens are irreplaceable shit, dude. You're never going to find someone else who could throw a smoke screen. Anyway, let's quickly go through the divisional round because this is the week we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, quick recap. We only had one bet. It was Buffalo over Baltimore money line, which I guessed was like plus 110 odds because I think it was -2 or +2.
Yeah, it was plus 110 when we got it.
So, nice little 1.1 unit win. Let's just talk football, though. First game, we had the Houston Texans playing the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs won 23-14.
Yeah, and we, as a rule in the playoffs, we make a lean on every game, even if we're not going to bet it. And we leaned Chiefs money line, but Texans with the points. Yeah, neither of these teams is very good. I think I called this the AFC consolation game in that, like, I don't see how the winner of this game beats the winner of Ravens Bills, just because the Chiefs got walked down the field by the refs on two separate drives and still only scored 23 points. And the Texans scored 12 real points. These are not great football teams. And, like, if it's not for CJ Stroud having two bad turnovers, Texans easily could have won. If the Texans don't lose, I want to say 10 points on special teams gaffes, they could have won. But on the other hand, the Chiefs probably could have scored more if they wanted. They just never seem to ever want to score more than 25 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. The Chiefs, they still confuse me because they never really look great, especially on offense.
Yeah.
You know, this was Andy Reid on a bye, and it still didn't look very good. Like, yeah, the Texans' defense is good. The Chiefs' offense isn't as talented as it used to be. The offensive line is beat up. They have a guard playing tackle, albeit a very good one.
I was going to say, that was a question mark coming in. Joe Thuney, 3 pressures in the entire game going against the best pass rush duo of defensive ends in the NFL. And I would only imagine he's going to get better at playing left tackle as he continues to do it.
I mean, he played like 5 games there earlier this year, didn't he?
Not this year, I don't believe.
Last year, something like that.
He played 5 games there total in his career, I think.
Oh.
And he played there in college his senior year.
See, I thought he played tackle for him in a handful of games like this year or last year for Chiefs. But either way, he did great. But you still have a lot of stuff moving around there. So, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I expect now getting into it, the Bills to win, but that's a conversation for a little bit later. We didn't bet on it. I think we were right to kind of stay away.
Mm-hmm. Ended up being a fucky one.
Yeah, we would have had it at 8.5, so we would have lost. And I'm glad we stayed pat.
Yeah.
Next up, the game that has taken at least a few days off of your life. The Washington Commanders beat the Detroit Lions 45-31.
Yeah, we leaned Lions in this game just because we didn't think that the Commanders could stop the Lions. And we weren't totally wrong, because the only way that the Commanders could stop the Lions is the Lions committing, 4 or 5 just dumb turnovers. Jared Goff played some of the worst ball I've ever seen. The Jamison Williams interception was one of the dumber play calls and one of the worst decisions of all time by any player. But Jaden Daniels also probably played his best game since week 2 against the Bengals. Like, he was legitimately good. He had that one deep corner he threw. Beautiful. I tweeted it. This play is the Jaden Daniels that Twitter thinks exists always. I even had people being like, oh, this is what he does every week. You just don't know. I'm like, well, it's literally the longest air yardage throw he's ever made in the pros. So no, it's actually not. Like, it's actually the best he's ever done ever. So, but yeah, I saw a stat. The Lions were missing 6 week 1 starters in this game, and 4 of those starters backups were also missing, and 3 rotational starters were missing, and 2 more backups that didn't they wouldn't have played in this game were missing. So you're looking at a second and third string Lions defense. So on one hand, great job by the Commanders, great scheme, good quarterbacking, many points. Yay. I think they scored 35 points on offense, 38 points on offense. So that's nothing to sneeze at. That's sick. But I don't think it was so much the Commanders dominating as much as it was the Lions haven't stopped anybody in weeks other than Sam Darnold while he's having a panic attack. And Jared Goff shat the bed in the playoffs, which you could kind of see coming.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely credit to the Commanders. Gene Daniels, like, he played an incredibly clean game.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't really have any turnover chances even.
Nope.
It was a lot of screens and short passes, but he was executing them at a high level and wasn't making stupid decisions.
Yeah.
And when the Lions keep giving you the ball and you're playing a bad defense, that's going to lead to a lot of points. So, I mean, I think he played great. Like, he came up with clutch plays when they needed him. And other than that, he was, a pure game manager, but he did well at it. And he's a rookie in the divisional round. So I give him credit for that game. Let's see what happens now that he'll play a much tougher defense in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that game was really clean. He did a great job. And I mean, the Commanders in general have had some really good game plans these last couple weeks.
Dude, their coaching has been maybe the defensive side of the ball has been kind of awful, like low key, very low key. Let's not tell anybody about this, but the Commanders haven't stopped a nosebleed when they're not getting turnovers since maybe the first half against Dallas in week 18. Like it's been the Buccaneers completed almost every single pass they threw. And the only times they punted were just really stupid run drives twice or the fumble in their own red zone. The only way that the Commanders stopped the Lions was interceptions. So the defense is not actually really stepping up. They're taking advantage of opportunities given to them, but it's not like they're doing anything special. It's not like they're stalwarts. And a team that lives and dies by turnovers is not a team that lives for very long.
True. Now, granted, they do have the advantage in that this league is full of bad quarterbacks.
It certainly is.
Who will give you a lot of turnovers, and their upcoming game is not that different. But we got a couple more to talk about.
Yeah, let's fly through them.
On Sunday, we had the Eagles beating the Rams 28-22.
What a fun mess of a game.
Absolutely.
There was no right side in this game. There was no wrong side. There was just a fun, sloppy time.
Absolutely. The Eagles defense is terrifying.
Oh, it's great. Especially in that snow, there's not a lot you can do to them.
Yeah, but I think just win for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts continues to be the only hole on that team.
Literally the entire team.
On to the AFC Championship game. We had the Bills beating the Ravens 27-25. Completely lived up to the hype. What a game.
See, I don't think it lived up to the hype because we never got to see the parts of the things that made these teams hype. Like I wanted to see Josh Allen come out and throw the ball 35 times. I wanted to see the Ravens just run the ball with crazy exotic looks. And instead, I got Lamar throwing from behind, which is a little anticlimactic, and the Bills running the ball 90% of the time and punting.
Yeah, I mean, that part definitely was less than we expected, but it came down to the final play of the game.
Yeah.
It was close throughout. It was very competitive, and the stars definitely shined.
It was also kind of the perfect legacy game for both quarterbacks because if you're a Lamar fan, you could be like, well, Mark Andrews dropped that ball and he fumbled earlier. Like, come on. He did everything he had to do. And like that's a pretty fair argument. But if you're a Josh Allen guy, you're like, what? He beat Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who have a way better roster. You can't dog him for that. And it's like, you're right. So both guys kind of treaded water. This is our one bet. I liked the Bills because I thought if it comes down to a volume track meet type of game, kind of like the Lions and Commanders ended up being, I think that Josh Allen's just the better quarterback and it will be safer with the ball. Safer with the ball being key because Lamar Jackson actually played amazing football. He was awesome, except for two inexcusable turnovers that basically put the game out of reach for them in the second quarter.
Yep. They flipped that game completely.
Like if Joe Brady had testicles between his legs, this could have been a 3 touchdown game just because the Bills had so many more opportunities. because of the really dumb, totally uncalled for fumble and the I to this day, I can't tell if Lamar Jackson had the wrong idea on that pick or just missed by 10 yards. I can't tell.
Yeah, I have no idea what he was trying to do because it was nowhere near a receiver and it wasn't that close to the sideline or anything either.
And it was a clean pocket. Like
Yeah,
he
he
had,
didn't get hit. Like he had pressure, but he didn't get hit.
yeah. All in all, I think it's a just win. Yes, the Ravens could have tied the game, but you're still giving the ball back to the Bills, who still have Josh Allen, who still have a long-legged kicker. Yeah, I would have liked my chances if it went to overtime. And we took
Yeah,
an underdog money line.
exactly. We took a home dog money line. I'll do it all the time.
All right.
Good
On
bet.
to on to all two games this week.
Oh yeah.
It's getting sad,
And
dude. It's getting
I know.
introspective.
I know. I'm just happy because when football ends, then baseball pretty much starts, and that will fill that hole for me.
I picked a really bad time to go on vacation with Stalin because she keeps on asking why there's so much football on, and I keep having to explain like, no, honey, we're almost done with football, which is why there's the football matters. I can't skip it. And she's like, well, why can't you got 4 games, 2 days of all watching football? I'm like, listen, woman, this is less football than usual. Just let me have this.
But yeah, we're getting down to it. Championship week.
Yeah, and there's really only one outcome that doesn't make me sad.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's get into those games. On Sunday, first up in the 12 o'clock hour, we have the Washington Commanders going to play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are -6.
I will say, I expect the public to be all fucking over Washington because Washington is the feel-good story of this year. They're definitely the feel-good story of these playoffs. They just beat the hell out of the best team in the NFC. Mostly their backups, but still. I just see money flooding in on Washington. And would you look at that? 66% of the bets are on Washington, but only 60% of the money, which means the bigger bettors are betting on Philly. And I hate it because it means that Vegas is still sharp. The line is still sharp. The public money's not moving the line as much as I want it. I can't lay 6 with this Eagles team against anyone, much less a red hot Commanders team. And it mostly comes down to Jalen fucking Hurts. Birdwatcher, close your ears. If Nick Sirianni trots a banged up Jalen Hurts out in the NFC Championship game, everybody should be fired.
They're
From
going
Kellen
to.
Moore, they're going to, and everybody should be fired. It is malpractice. It is a failure to self-scout. It is a failure of the fucking medical staff. Like everybody's failing their mandate by saying that this terrible quarterback, Hurt, is better than the backup who's exactly as good as him, but healthy. I hate it. And I also don't think it's going to fucking matter because the Commanders haven't stopped literally anybody in the passing game for a month.
And you're gonna be able to run all over them.
Oh, God, yeah. Saquon Barkley, PFF's 10th ranked running back, by the way. Saquon Barkley, PFF. Granted, I shouldn't talk shit. Saquon Barkley has shat all upon me. That is one where I will own a mistake. I thought Saquon Barkley had shitty vision. It turns out there's just nothing to see behind the Giants' offensive line. That's on me. I learned a lesson, especially because so many of his runs this year have been like making cuts behind the line to set one guy up to angle block 2 or 3 defenders and then taking advantage of the space with his speed. Like he's legitimately a brilliant back. He just couldn't show it in New York because Evan Neal.
Yeah. He couldn't stay healthy either.
True, which probably also has something to do with being hit by defensive tackles in the backfield because, well, not Evan Neal in this particular case because I said defensive tackles, but you get my, you know what I mean. Yeah, I see Saquon lighting it up on the ground. Bobby Wagner is a good run stopping linebacker, but only if he doesn't have to move, and Saquon makes you move. I also just don't know how you cover A.J. Brown with the corpse of Lattimore. I don't know how you cover Goddard when you don't have a linebacker who can run with him. And I don't think you can get pressure on Hurts with this sick offensive line against like the definition of average defensive linemen. I think that if Jalen Hurts were like a top 15 quarterback, we're looking at 40 plus points, but I don't think he's that.
Yeah, he hasn't really shown any of that outside of a few streaky games.
I mean, even look at the Rams game. The only singular really good play he had was a 40-yard run. and now his legs hurt. So what the fuck are we doing here? And the safety, people are bashing Kellen Moore. Why would you call a pass play on second down from your own end zone? I don't know, probably because AJ Brown was not covered on the play, and Jalen Hurts never even considered throwing to him. Like literally, not like, oh, he was pretty open. Like literally, there's nobody trying to think about covering him. Just never looked that way. Luckily for the Eagles, Jared Verse is not walking through those doors. Dorrance Armstrong doesn't present quite the pass rush threat, so I think they'll be okay. Yes, I necessarily shaded Dante Fowler there, and I think that he's earned it. He's not good at football. He's just kind of fast. Other side of the ball, the Commanders struggled. Like people forget this because they won so many fluky games in a row now. But the Commanders really struggled basically the month of December. And it was largely because they were playing good defensive lines and defenses that were stacking the box on them, namely the Eagles and Cowboys. Well, this is one of those defensive lines.
They did beat the Eagles in that stretch.
They did, but you remember that game. They got a touchdown on a play where nobody was covering that half of the field because of a miscommunication, where the Eagles had 12 players on and they ran a cornerback off to not get the penalty, and then there was nobody covering Alamane Zaccheaus for 50 yards.
Yeah.
So that's a free 7 points that shouldn't count. The Eagles should have like that. That's also the Devontae Smith dropped the ball for a first down to ice the game.
Oh yeah.
So that game should have been over. Jaden Daniels threw a pick to lose the game. This is despite Kenny Pickett playing, despite Kenny Pickett throwing an interception right away because he was antsy, coming in cold. And then, yeah, Jaden Daniels led a sick game-winning clutch drive at the very end, but it was on fourth down. The Commanders were one missed pass away from losing that game by a touchdown. So I think that was a bit of a fraudulent result, and I think that the Eagles defense will hold up well.
Yeah. The first time they played, they did.
Oh, yeah.
I think Commanders had like 16, 18 points, something like that.
I think it's also
18. Yeah.
It's been clear to me watching the Eagles defense in the playoffs. This defense is different when they all care. And that's not a slight on anybody, but when you're running away with the division, when you're having a killer season, when you're Jalen Carter and you're mercurial as a rule, it's harder to care. But in the playoffs, Jalen Carter looks like Ndamukong Suh at Nebraska. It's sick. So I just think that defensive line, especially when they're all going and like Nolan Smith's coming on, dude, it's too powerful of a defensive line. They're going to blow through this offensive line. The run game will not be a factor for the Commanders at all. You're going to have to throw. And they're going to have to throw the quick passes, which mitigate that pass rush a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But for once, for the first time in a long time, you're playing against a defense that has the dudes to press up on you. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and Darius Slay are all really good corners who can match and press. Whereas like last week, the Lions are starting their fourth and fifth corners. The week before, the Buccaneers in the first half, the Buccaneers dominated this Washington offense, holding them to 10 points by playing press man coverage. And then both of their starting corners got hurt. And against corners 4 and 5, yes, the Commanders started to move the ball better. And even still, barely won the game. I think that the Eagles will play. I don't think they're going to play press man because that's just not what Fangio does, but they will play up. They'll play up on the line. They'll stack the box. They'll keep their corners tight. They trust their safeties. Their safeties both are rangy, come up and hit. Zach Bond comes up and hits. I don't see how Washington's going to be able to dink and dunk for 40 points in this game like they did last week. I also think it's key. This game will be played in 33-degree weather with a possibility of snow or rain, because when the elements suck, you can't consistently hit those 90% clip plays that the Commanders have built their entire offense off of.
Yeah. Look at some of the plays from last week in those snow games.
Well, exactly. Like
you just drop easy stuff. Guys fall over, they slip.
Your timing gets fucked up. You can't throw as quickly. Drops happen. You saw it in the Eagles game. Like the way that the Rams started to come back, the only way they really functioned on offense was one, running the ball. We already established that the Commanders are going to have a really hard time doing that. And two, deep shots. I think the best way to beat Jaden Daniels is to force him to be a true drop back passer. Throw deep, no play action, no quick game. Just play heads up, regular old fashioned passing game football. And that's not to say that like it's bad to do the smart things and press the easy buttons, but it is to say I think the Eagles have a perfect recipe for containing this Washington offense. And as long as Jalen Hurts and company can put up 24, I think we're in good shape. Not against the spread, though. 6 points in a weather game, in a playoff game, is a lot. I'll be looking to live bet it. God forbid. God forbid. I really mean it. Anything happens to Jalen Hurts' ability to start on Sunday, I'll be looking to bet on the Eagles with Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee because I don't think it makes a difference, and I think the line will move dramatically.
The only thing
Uh,
I worry about is there's so much that goes into like confidence and momentum in the playoffs. Who's hot? And if then you lose the quarterback who wrongfully or rightfully that team believes in.
he is a leader.
But I don't know. I think the only way that, like, because I would even look at, trying to tease this number down with Buffalo or something. But the only way I see Washington winning is the weather isn't that bad. They're able to still complete a lot of their screens and they hit on a couple of their deep shots to McLaurin or Diami Brown or Zacchaeus or something. And then Jalen Hurts either gets hurt or just plays terrible. And then if he gets hurt and someone else comes in, it's that, the confidence is down, someone that's cold, they haven't been practicing with the team. And then you go, oh God, like they're just kind of marching their way down the field because they have done it against this defense before. They have been able to put up points. But I think it's more likely that Washington is definitely going to score. I mean, they're too well coordinated. Daniels is playing well. McLaurin is very good. They can still run the ball a bit. They're going to hit a deep shot or two. They're going to break a big screen or a screen into a big play. But I just don't think it'll be consistent enough where I feel like the Eagles are going to be able to, outside of turnovers, like unless Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts is throwing 3 picks, they're going to be able to kind of bully their way down the field, and they just have so much more talent.
That's the thing. I think they should just make it a Saquon game. Just a fuck you. Our offensive line is huge. Saquon, do your fucking thing, dude.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and to your point, I had considered like because Jaden Daniels right now is larger than life. He is. I heard that when Jaden Daniels farts, angels get their wings. It's that good.
That's how it works.
But for real, perception is reality. And if his whole team and his entire fan base believes that this man is Christ Almighty, there's something to it. They play better, they raise their level, they don't lose hope, they buy into the game plan better. Like it matters. But I think the motivation of believing in your quarterback matters less in a big game because like you weren't gonna dog the NFC championship. And I think that the Eagles will be particularly resilient to being intimidated because they've played this guy twice. He's a division rival. And I would bet dollars to donuts that the Eagles defense feels like they let Daniels get away with one last time around.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like when you get a game sealing interception with 2 minutes left, as a defense, you feel like we did our job. It's over. And so when you lose that game, I feel like there's just got to be, rather than being daunted by like this guy's magic, there's got to be an anger like, no, we got to show him this time. So I think that really the motivation and emotional factors largely will cancel out, assuming Hurts plays because
Yeah,
of
I
the
don't think it's as
circumstance, because of the
much.
rivalry.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much like a motivation as just it's like that belief where they're just
Hmm.
like, okay, like we got it. Whereas the Eagles might be a little hollowed out on that if they lose the quarterback.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but either way, I mean, I think the Eagles like that talent overrides some of the confidence and just general like feel when you're exceeding expectations like the Commanders are right now. But I don't think we're betting on this game.
At 6, I have to lean Eagles, but yeah, I can't bet.
Yeah. So let's move on and see if we can get an AFC bet in. Into the AFC at 3 o'clock on Sunday, we have the Buffalo Bills going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are -1.5.
Back to the well.
Another Bills money line pick.
Another Bills money line pick, which is the square play. Most people have money on the Bills, but I don't fucking care because the Chiefs aren't good at football. I said it. Oh, dude, I wish I had my home studio because I would totally edit in the Chappelle show. You know the one. I said it.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a pretty good impression too.
You work for 60 Minutes?
God damn, dude. I literally can't
Big
think of a
line.
single line to quote from that skit that I can say. Uh,
Nope.
like it's bad. How'd they get away with that? Wild times. So if you watch the Chiefs play football, you think this is a very mediocre team that doesn't make a lot of terrible mistakes. They're pretty well coached and disciplined, but they don't actually do anything particularly well. But if you listen to people talk about the way the Chiefs play, they think they're magic. They talk about it factor. They talk about being a winner. I was listening to Pardon My Take with Stalin today, going for a walk, and they're arguing about like how Patrick Mahomes isn't putting up the gaudy stats he used to because the league's kind of figured him out. But even when the league's figured him out, he's still winning the Super Bowl and like dominating every moment he needs to and coming up clutch. And she's like, it doesn't really sound like they know what they're talking about. I'm like, they don't. They're trying to figure out ways to explain why the Chiefs keep winning when they don't really deserve to be winning. And it's because they have the greatest coaching staff in the league, the best head coach of all time. They're always prepared and polished. They're a veteran team. And frankly, they haven't played shit. They played the Texans, who suck. The last time they played a decent team was probably Buffalo, and they got skulled. I think that the Chiefs are the best right now, or the best they've been all season right now, because Hollywood Brown is back. Xavier Worthy is the least rookie he's ever been. Nuke Hopkins is healthy and knowing the offense more and more each week. But the Texans' starting cornerbacks did not allow a single reception last week. And that's something that happens when your passing offense is only gimmies. It's not explosive. If you cover Travis Kelce a little bit, you're okay. And who better to cover Travis Kelce than Matt Milano? I also think that Von Miller is a perfect pass rush matchup for Jawan Taylor's slow ass, because false starting by a full second every play won't be enough for him to keep up with Von Miller's quickness. And no, he'll never be called for false starting, but like even with that head start, Jawan Taylor is slow out of the blocks. On the other side, Rousseau and Tooney, I think Tooney will handle them, but at least it opens up an opportunity for Ed Oliver to go against, shall we call it, an inexperienced left guard.
I definitely worry that, the Chiefs are in one of the best positions they've been this season, because I think Pacheco might even be back.
Pacheco's back, but he wasn't very good last week.
Yeah,
Kareem Hunt was more efficient.
But he's warming up. He's coming back. Like, that's what I mean, is like,
yeah,
he might be like full workload. Kareem Hunt is just, if you need 2 yards, like Kareem will get you your 2.
This is how bad the Texans defense was last week. Kareem Hunt, in the year 2025 of our Lord Jesus Christ, my savior, I don't know about yours, averaged 6 yards a carry. Kareem Hunt.
He's still a good power back.
When Kareem Hunt is working that efficiently, you should be putting up a lot more than 24 points. This offense doesn't look dynamic to me. It's lots of dinks and dunks. It's not a consistently good running game. It's also not a particularly explosive running game. It's a consistently okay running game, because your diagnosis of Kareem Hunt is totally true, typically, when you're not playing the Texans and their total lack of interior defensive line. This is a Bills team that shut Derrick Henry down last week. Like, they can handle the run. They were flying around. I was really impressed with the game that Bobby Babbage called on defense. They were blitzing. I didn't know Buffalo was allowed to do that. Why hadn't they done it before? They were manning up. They were spying. They were containing. It was nice. It was very well done. Very disciplined, well-coordinated defense. And I doubt heavily that they're going to be underprepared for the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Like, this is their boogeyman. They need this shit so bad. If Josh Allen loses to the Chiefs again in the playoffs, we might not find him. He could go.
Him and Lamar are just going to commiserate and being just so sad. They're like, we're so good, but we can't beat those demons.
I'm not going to bitch about Sean McDermott now. I'll wait until the Bills lose or win the Super Bowl. Either way, I'll be frustrated.
My take is that I do worry the Bills are going to get a little cooked. They're going to give up some explosive plays. I know that the Chiefs aren't really an explosive play offense this year, but the Chiefs still have that speed.
Well, that's the thing.
The Bills, their secondary does not. Their secondary, like, they can tackle.
Does not have the speed.
No, like, they can tackle all right, but they're not flying with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy.
Well, that's the thing, is like, they do still have Hollywood Brown, but Patrick Mahomes hasn't hit a deep ball all fucking year. I mean, he has, but not many. Like, he's not good at it anymore. And the Bills do like to play a lot of cover 2. So you're going to have safety help over the top. Oh my God, dude. It doesn't apply to cover 2, but if the Bills were theoretically to play Halo defense, do you know who their Halo would be?
Damar Hamlin.
You laughed at that. I didn't. So they're going to have safety help over the top. You're going to have big zone corners keeping things in check underneath. Like, there will be pot shots, but Mahomes just doesn't have the appetite for that kind of risk anymore. And it's just not the kind of throw he specializes in anymore. On the other side of the ball, it's kind of a little bit Chris Jones or bust regarding the pass rush. Like, Karlaftis has come on more and more this year, but if all you got is one interior pass rusher, I think Josh Allen could run for 50. I think that you're going to have a lot of Josh Allen running in this game. So Josh Allen rushing props, maybe not a bad look. And I think that the Chiefs have a similar problem to when facing the Bills to teams we've mentioned in the past. Like, yeah, Trent McDuffie's a sick cornerback, one of the very best in the world, but he's one guy. And who do you put him on? Because there's really nobody on the Bills offense that's that important. And so now while typically against the Texans, for instance, you could say, hey, Trent McDuffie, you're sick. Go take away Nico Collins. Just eliminate him from the game. And that can cripple a lot of offenses, but the Bills offense doesn't care at all. So I like that the Bills are diverse. I like that Josh Allen's going to be able to run wild. I do think that the Chiefs may experiment with spying Josh Allen using Leo Chenal, who's sick, and I love him. Great athlete, good pass rusher at linebacker position. But if you're spying Josh Allen, then running backs like James Cook are just going to eat. Now, we are counting on Joe Brady to call a semi-aggressive game, but I think the Chiefs are such a boogeyman that it's going to negatively affect them, their reputation, because you can't come into a Chiefs game thinking ball control offense. You have to come in thinking we got to put up points, right?
I think that they were probably more ball control last week because they know that's what the Ravens are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were trying to be like, all right, you're not going to give us any possessions. We're not going to give you any possessions.
Well, they were also up so big so early that I think they were just like, dude, if we can limit you to 6 more possessions, we basically can't lose.
Yeah. Whereas the Chiefs, like, I think they've played them enough that they know you have to score.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to go out there and put up points because they're going to get theirs this year, not even as much, but they're going to score. The main thing is making sure that you get enough possessions that you can keep up with them.
Mm-hmm. No, I like the Bills in this game. I just think they're a better team. Like, I think the rosters are relatively similar, and anytime Josh Allen has a similar roster to his opponent, he wins. Because typically, like last week, his roster is much worse and he just transcends everything. I think this is Josh Allen's year. This is the full disclosure, the Bills winning the Super Bowl is the only way I'm happy. Because if the Eagles win it, Jalen Hurts gets a Super Bowl ring, and then the Birdwatcher is going to be like, see, he's elite. He won a ring. And I'm going to say, Birdwatcher, I know where you fucking live, dude. If the Commanders win the Super Bowl, everybody is going to worship Jaden Daniels, and then everybody on Twitter will be saying, I know where you fucking live, dude. And that won't be fun. And then if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, I may die of boredom. And also people will insist that he's certainly better than Brady, despite like 2 consecutive years, 3 out of 4, where everybody's saying like, I don't know if the Chiefs offense is any good, but they do keep winning. Nobody ever said like, I don't know if the Patriots offense is good, but they did keep winning. Like the 1 year that people were like, I don't know about Brady's offense. They lost in the first round of the playoffs. Brady left and then immediately won a Super Bowl based on the offense. So fuck that Patrick Mahomes discourse. Fuck that Jaden Daniels discourse. The Eagles winning wouldn't be the end of the world because their roster is sick and does deserve a ring.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I want to see the Bills or the Eagles win. The Chiefs would be fine because Travis continues to stack them. It would be boring, but I'm happy for Travis and any Andy Reid wins. So that'd be fine. Commanders, I mean, it'd be a cool story, but I would be upset because then I'd have to go to your funeral.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, you'd probably have to do it in the cover of night because I think that would be a terrorist event. Also, just the Bills-Eagles Super Bowl would be the most fun because you have those people, strong word, those fans in New Orleans, the debauch, the crime, sir, the crime. We're going to be deporting people who have been here for 5 generations just because we don't know what else to do with them. Like, we're so close. Just toss them to the Gulf of America. After that, they're not our problem anymore.
Did you just call it the Gulf of America?
Yeah, dude, I'm dancing such a fine line. I want to make political jokes like crazy, but I can't. There's so much content, but we shut up and dribble here. We talk about ball.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in it because I want the Bills to win. I think this game's kind of a coin flip. It's like, does Josh Allen continue to transcend, be very safe with the ball, and just make shit happen? Yeah. And did the Chiefs finally
get what they deserve?
Yeah, seriously. It's like, I'm thinking of it like they have a piece of armor that is just right on the cusp of breaking. And it's like the next shot that goes through is going to just bust the whole thing because it feels like they're so close to losing so many times this year.
They keep getting shot in the chest, and it just so happens that the same metal credit card is in that shirt pocket the entire time. And if anybody just aimed anywhere fucking else, dude, one time, it would be fine, but they don't. So it's not. And it's frustrating, dude. It's so, because if you just watched, if I named this team the Brooklyn Guys and they wore black and white uniforms, but not as cool as the Raiders, if they were the Jaguars uniforms with blank helmets, and I said, how many wins do you think this team would make? You'd be like, 10, 11, 10. Yeah, they're a playoff team. They're not going to do a lot there, though. But because they're the Chiefs, because of the mystique of Patrick Mahomes, and because Taylor Swift walked into the stadium on Sunday and we had to talk about it and show it 5 times and break down the angles, and oh my God, Caitlin Clark was there too. They have this mystique about them and they get blown up out of proportion. Oh my God, they're unstoppable. They're going to three-peat. No, that's not who they are. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they actually do have a deal with whichever God you don't worship, and they will never lose due to no fault of their own. But I have to believe that some things in this world are not random, and sometimes good, truth, and talent prevail. And the Bills are better at football primarily because their quarterback is significantly better at football. If you disagree, write a very carefully worded note, put it in the spiniest pine cone you can find, and shove it directly up your, because I don't care. I watch the games. And if you watch the games, you know goddamn well that Josh Allen's just significantly better than this version of Patrick Mahomes and last year's version and the version from 2022, right? Yeah. No, 21. 22, he was actually good. But yeah, so 3 out of the last 4 years, Patrick Mahomes has been mid and Josh Allen just keeps being sick as fuck. So Josh Allen, try to fireball.
Yeah, I don't think I can say it any better than that. I'm good with Bills money line. What is it, plus 110?
Plus 110. I just locked it in today because I finally was in Nevada rather than California, so I could place my wagers. Here's the question, Alex, and once you answer this question, we can go and I can go to this concert and Stalin can stop being mad at me. 2 units or 3?
I mean, I feel like we kind of got to go 3.
Dude, if you said 2, I was going to call you a bitch and say 3. Thank you for saying 3.
Well, I'm glad that you prepared for me to disappoint you. Because I mean, fuck it. We're riding with our guys. It's the second last week of betting on football this season. We're currently at plus 15.9 units, so we got some money to play with.
If we get to 19 units heading into the Super Bowl, that's dope because we could break 20 units with the Super Bowl. And if we're stuck at only 13 units, nobody gives a fuck. That's a good ass year. So 3 units. Also, I just love the bet. I've been waiting to fade the Chiefs since last time they played the Bills. This is that time. So, and yeah, because we're not betting on the Eagles game, because we don't know who the quarterback is and the spread is kind of prohibitive in a weather game in the playoffs, Bills, money line, plus 110, 3 units, cha-ching. I have a girlfriend to stop disappointing.
How often do you say that?
Not going to answer that question. That's privileged material. So.
Good answer. Good answer.
With that, the longest 2-game breakdown of all time until next year when we do the exact same thing at exactly this time of year. I leave you with this. You can tail, you can fail, you can even tweet at me that Jaden Daniels is the super bestest, and he might see it and say you're swell. I don't really care as long as you please bet on football games. Asta.